Hello number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking. Now on this channel I've spoken a little bit about Graham Hancock and the ideas that he proposes, but one thing you may not know, maybe you do, is that Mr. Hancock does have his own website. Now the reason why I'm here today and we are having a look at this is because he made a post recently, specifically on the 2nd of April 2025, and it's a post about the alleged findings under the pyramid, talking about the pyramids of Giza, and this is a topic that we have covered on this channel multiple times already. So I thought, hey, since I'm someone who is being all over this topic, I watched the entire conference in Italian and understood, of course, everything except maybe some technical things. I'm interested in seeing what he believes. Now, given this says it's written by Andrew Collins, but it is on his official website, so the least that I can think is that he at least read it and agrees with the overall idea, and if that's not the case, he'll correct me. But let's have a look. What really lies beneath the pyramids, the megastructures of Giza, a preliminary report by Andrew Collins. And here they show one of the images, in fact the most important image from the SAR-based image showing anomalies from the SAR technology, the new technique connected to SAR technology utilized by Filippo Biondi, Corrado Malanga and Armando Mei. And here we read, SAR-based image showing anomalies thought to indicate the presence of 8 vertical tubes or wells beneath the second pyramid. Credit Khafre SAR project reproduced with permission. Do they mean tubes? I guess tubes could be one of the translations. Sometimes the way they say it sounds more like they're pillars, but they do say they are empty inside. So I guess tubes would work as a representation of how they actually meant it in Italian. Abstract. The announcement on March 15th and 16th, 2025 of the apparent detection beneath Giza's second pyramid, the Pyramid of Khafre, of a whole series of megastructures has caused a viral sensation. So far so good. The claims made by the Italy-based Khafre SAR project are so fantastic that it was felt necessary to catalogue what has been released into the public domain, examine the reaction of the outside world, and comment on the suspected methodology behind the published results. Well, commenting on the methodology is exactly what I did, which got me quite a bit of hate from Malanga's, specifically Malanga's fanboys. Man, those people. Oh, look, you can believe whatever you want and I respect you, but when people come and attack me directly in a stupid way, either accusing me of being part of the cover-up or being paid off by the government or the reptilians, depending on the comment, or when they tell me that I'm being disrespectful, even though all I'm doing is literally attacking their arguments. And the only thing I did, specifically with Corrado Malanga, to provide full context, was to translate letter by letter what he said publicly. If you think that just translating what he says and adding almost nothing is character assassination, then you're telling me that what he says is character assassination. But I digress. It's good to question the methodology. That's how academia works. Although important to remain skeptical towards these claims, achieved using a unique interpretation of synthetic aperture radar, SAR data, their potential connection with Giza's cave underworld and parallels with ancient Egyptian cosmogonic myths seems important to discuss. Right. Well, those connections still are not there, because the connections were only the first third of the conference and they were presented by Armando Mei, and it was a complete, utter accumulation of nonsense. His methodology was horrible, his presentation was terrible, it lacked all forms of professionalism, so any connection with Egyptian myths is nothing. I can tell you that much confidently. With that being said, is there a cave underworld? Well, yes, I'm open to think that, because at the end of the day the pyramids were built on top of a bedrock, but then again we do know that limestone does tend to have tunnels underneath and natural formations. Now whether these shafts are actually well represented by this or not, I have no idea. I do question the ability of the members of the team to correctly identify and interpret the data, particularly Mr. Malanga. With that being said, as I said, I'm open to the possibility that maybe there is a long shaft or a long series of shafts, and I'm also open to the possibility that this may be artificial in nature. What I'm not open to the possibility of, as of now, is the idea that these are used for somewhat to generate electricity, which is something that Mr. Mei stated. Now, if you do believe this possibility, the idea of power plants and whatnot, then if you prove it to me or you present enough evidence, I'll be on your side and we will be shouting this from all rooftops, together, you and me. But I need interpretation, and what Mei has presented is nothing. We look also at the potential time frame of construction of any confirmed underground structures at Giza and speculate on a possible connection with Anatolia's post-Ice Age Tas-Tepler culture. Now, of course, I'm expecting this. Graham Hancock is a massive proponent of this idea of the Ice Age civilization, global Ice Age civilization. So clearly, if these end up being not only artificial, but much more ancient, so the dating aspect is what I would imagine is the one that interests them the most. If these happen to be a lot more ancient than what the pyramids are, which is what, once again, the team has speculated. They mentioned 36,400 years ago when it comes to the production of the entirety of the Giza plateau complex. It's a new dating. Then clearly that would sit very well with the idea of an ancient advanced civilization. And if these happen to be made of titanium, glass, and they produce electricity, we can go outside and rewrite entirely the books of history that we've got, at least when it comes to this, but in general, civilization and the understanding of the birth of civilization and the domestication, farming, and whatnot. If, massive if, as of now, over the weekend of March 15-16, 2025, a press conference was held at the Castel San Pietro Terme in Bologna, Italy, the ramifications of which would change everything we thought we knew about the origins of ancient Egypt. Yeah, that's how they introduce the conference at the very beginning, as I have translated. The conference itself, no. These, however, are curious. They are interesting anomalies, and I would say dig. That's what I always say. So how can I be part of the cover-up if I literally say dig? Beyond me. Hey noble ones, I noticed that quite a few of you watching my videos are not actually subscribed, so it would be so good and I would really appreciate it if you could click the subscribe button right now, as it really helps the channel and the production. Thank you so much. But let's see, I'm interested to see what they say about the conference because I'm very familiar with it. I watched the whole 4 hours. A team of researchers led by Professor Corrado Malanga from the University of Pisa, Professor Filippo Biondi with the University of Strathclyde, Scotland, and ancient mystery authors Armando May announced the detection of a whole series of megastructures existing beneath the plateau at Giza. To be specific about this, as far as I understand, Corrado Malanga used to be a professor at Pisa, and I don't think he teaches there anymore, and most importantly, not a professor of ancient history, not a professor of archaeology, a professor of chemistry. It's important to underline this. Filippo Biondi, I do believe he has experience in teaching at the University of Strathclyde in Scotland, but he's not representing the University of Scotland with this specific find. I'm not saying that they say that, but I'm just being clear here. This is their own independent research. And when it comes to Armando May, I am puzzled, mildly amused by the fact that every time that I see him mentioned, they give him a different title. Sometimes he's a researcher. Sometimes he's an independent researcher. Other times he's an alternative historian. Other times I've seen him mentioned as an Egyptologist. Now he's an ancient mystery author. It's like they don't know what to call him. Fit. That's all I'm going to say about that. Using open source synthetic aperture radar, SAR, data provided by Capella Space and Umbra and derived from satellites in orbit around 400 miles above the Earth's surface, correct to put it in plural because it's 2, according to them, the team say they have been able to identify the presence of various unique features both within Giza's second pyramid and, more interestingly, beneath it. Inside the pyramid, they have detected 5 vertical spaces, similar in appearance to the relieving chambers above the king's chamber inside the Great Pyramid. These structures, described by the team as jed columns, like those seen in ancient Egyptian art representing the backbone of the god Osiris, are evenly spaced out within the base of the second pyramid. Underneath the pyramid, the team have determined the presence of what they say are 8 hollow cylindrical tubes or wells that penetrate the bedrock for a depth of 648 meters, 0.4 of a mile, with a spiraling pathway around each one. I would like to add that they also mentioned that this spiral pathway behaves like glass. That's what they say. These vertical pipes are positioned in 2 rows of 4, which their SAR-based images indicate are oriented north-south. At their termination, the shafts converge into 2 large cubic chambers, 4 into one, and the remaining 4 into the other. Each of these chambers has an estimated size of approximately 80 meters, 262 feet. Yeah, that is the fascinating statement. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it is fascinating. And of course, it's what they connect with the, oh yeah, he's going to say it, great. Further structures apparently go often in different directions, leading to the team's strong belief that beneath the pyramid's field is a possible underground city. Yeah, they did mention city. They identify this with the concept of the halls of Amenti, the otherworldly destination of the deceased following the passage through a cave-like realm known as the Duat. Now, the way they identify this is explained only in the first third of the presentation, and it was the job, completely botched, done by Armando May. But the identification is nonsense. Complete, utter rubbish. No reason to believe that this is Amenti. Based on how he explained it, there is no reason to believe that this is Amenti, and I'm going to have zero. I don't even leave it at 1%. This doesn't mean that I'm now stating that this is not Amenti. I'm saying based on how he explained it, zero. Because he's using numerology, he's telling us facts, but it's not justifying them in any way, shape, or form. It's literally a trust me bro conference, at least when it comes to Armando May. SAR satellite data. All of these findings were obtained in the following manner. Satellite transmissions that are reflected off ground-based objects contain seismic data that are recorded by ground-based computers. Yeah, computers play a massive role in the creation of this, by the way, specifically AI. Mathematics is applied to the raw data received to create composite 2D and even 3D images that carry information, not only about the density of targets, but also their position. Finished images are color-coded so that blue indicates dense areas, while brighter colors such as reds, greens, and yellows can signify the presence of hollows, cavities, and voids. All of this interpreted, among others, by Corrado Malanga, who is self-admittedly colorblind. I'm adding that, but he said that. The accumulation of raw SAR data is achieved remotely, meaning that the Italian team did not need consent from the Egyptian government to conduct their work. This was yeah, I think the Egyptian government is pissed about that, aren't they? This was first brought to the public attention in 2022 with the publication of a paper in the peer-reviewed journal Remote Sensing. Yeah, I'm not sure about the quality of remote sensing, so I'm not going to speak about that, but what I do want to say is that I did link and mention this specific publication from 2022 in my first video, because now people are accusing me, oh, you're not even mentioning. No, I did mention it. It's just that if you accuse me of doing poor research, then do the research to see if what you're accusing me of is real. Is that fair? And it is linked in almost every, I think in every single one of my videos that have to do with the pyramids and this specific alleged finding, I did link it in the comments. So there is that. At the time, their findings raised little interest among the Egyptological community, since their work was heavily overshadowed by discovery of a huge void existing above the Great Pyramid's Grand Gallery by the Scan Pyramid project. Biondi and Malanga did touch upon the potential existence of the 5 Jed chambers they had detected inside the second pyramid, but the paper's main focus was their work on the Great Pyramid. Yes. Viral sensation. There you go. Once the discoveries made by the Khafre-Sar project in connection with the second pyramid at Giza were revealed to the packed audience at the 2-day conference at Bologna in March 2025, yes, I confirm it was sold out, the internet went into overdrive, with ancient mysteries commentators, YouTube influencers, and online journalists doing their best to bring these discoveries to the widest possible audiences. Yeah, doing their worst sometimes, I would like to underline it, since oftentimes, particularly on TikTok, I'm not talking about everyone, but oftentimes this is a matter of, oh look, X-File music, it's not even double checking anything, not even watching the freaking conference, nothing. It was just, oh, let's get those clicks. The whole thing became a viral sensation, which, after a few days of bouncing about the internet, was finally picked up by the international news media. Some onlookers, however, were more skeptical of the claims. Skeptical, yes. Like me, I'm skeptical but open. The next section, titled Online Interpretation, discusses a video produced by this YouTube channel, The Land of Chem, where they debate and discuss the actual technical aspect of the SAR data and the interpretation of mostly actually the creation of the images. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the technical ability to review this, so I'm going to skip it, but if you're interested, feel free to check it out. They do also discuss the possibility that this is a natural cave underworld system. However, of course, its speculation, as they say, remains to be seen. Now, in the sections titled Egypt's Elder Culture is where they sort of try to bring up their own hypothesis here. In other words, they say if the Italian team's interpretation of the SAR data is correct, then they say the underground structures that we see have very little, if anything, to do with the pyramids on top of them. Even though in the conference they don't necessarily say this, it is true that in a separate interview, Armando May does say that he believes that the pyramids themselves, not just the structures underground, but even the pyramids, have nothing to do with ancient Egypt. And he says that these buildings do not belong to the Egyptians. Therefore, as you can see, fabled Egypt's elder culture. And then they say this cataclysm was heralded by the appearance of the sky of an enemy snake, and this is what they connect to the hypothesis of the younger Dryas. So here is the connect. They then go into a very deep discussion on, I suppose, mythological aspects of this. But let's have a look at the discussion. We have to remain extremely cautious as well as skeptical of the claims being made by the Khafre project with respect to what might lie beneath the plateau of Giza at Giza. I agree. The potential links between the structures observed, both with Giza's existing cave underworld and with the cosmological myth associated with the Ogdoad and these, make this a tantalizing possibility. If these underground features were, in fact, either carved or enhanced by human hands, then it seems unlikely they are of dynastic origin. I do not understand what they base this on, because neither this whole mythological section, nor anything else that we know up to this point, points to the idea that the underground structures were not built by the Egyptians, if they do exist. And they say, with all this taken into consideration, the Italian team should be encouraged to continue their work, while at the same time offering complete transparency of all their methodologies and procedures, so that their findings can be better accepted by the academic community. Yeah, sure, I mean, it would be nice if they were allowed to dig, that's always my position, but in general, when it comes to the transparency of methodologies, that was one of the things that annoyed me a lot, where they mentioned continuously the usage of software, AI, to create this interpretation, but unfortunately they didn't tell us what they were, although I have to be honest, one of the images did look like ChatGPT. So here we are. All right, so anyways, not too bad. I thought this was going to be worse, so I'll leave you to your own opinion when it comes to this. Maybe you will want to read the rest, so the mythological part, and perhaps you are an expert on SAR technology yourself, and so you can understand the technical section. Up to this point, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think, and I will see you tomorrow for my next daily upload. Goodbye.